This is me, attempting to forge a sword with next to no blacksmithing experience. But as I was trying to make the sword, a question lingered in my mind. Could I actually make this thing? To answer that question, we'll have to go back to where it all began. Right here, I have myself this huge chunk of metal. It weighs about 10 pounds. I found it in some bush somewhere. I'm gonna cut this thing at 2 feet long. Because I found this thing in a bush, I have no idea what kind of metal it is, but whatever it is, it's super hard because it took me about 4 grinding wheels to cut through the whole thing. But eventually, I did cut it and I just ground off the rust. So the rust on this thing has been mostly ground off, so now it's time to forge it. Let's get this thing fired up. Going into this project, I thought it would be super easy, but as I kept going, I realized how difficult this would be. Because the metal is so tough and I don't really have the right tools, it took me almost 12 hours to flatten the whole thing out. It also doesn't help that I'm a beginner and I missed like every single one of my hammer strikes. So I've been out here for like a half hour trying to bang on this thing, and it's still hardly moving at all. At this point, I probably should have just quit, but I decided not to, and I still kept trying to forge it out because I just really wanted to make myself a sword. Because I haven't forged in a while, I got blisters again. I have soft hands, I guess. Oh, this thing is so hard to hold. Oh gosh. I had to put a glove on because my blisters got so bad. I feel like it's gonna slip right out of my hands. Inserts. What made this project 10 times harder was the fact that I really don't have enough tools. Like, my forge is too small, my hammers are probably not the best, and my anvil is kind of small. This thing is starting to thin out, but it's taking so long. I've been doing this for like 2 hours. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. If you're wondering why I was so hyper, I think I was blaring Viking music to get myself hyped up. So after forging for a long time yesterday, I woke up today and I realized that my wrist is in really bad pain. At this point, it probably would have been a good idea to take a break, let my wrist heal for a little bit, but no, I just kept banging on the thing. I kept hurting my wrist even more. That's why I'm forging with my left hand here, because I physically couldn't swing the hammer with my right hand. You know what makes me kind of mad? Like, I've been forging this thing for probably 9 hours, and just now it's starting to like actually be like one flat piece of metal. So right now what I'm gonna try to do is just stretch out the tang. After forging for about 12 hours, I'm finally done getting the shape out. Oh. Anyways, I'm gonna start grinding and stuff. This may seem like a simple part in the project, but it was actually pretty difficult. If I made one wrong move, it could mean destroying the whole project. One cut too deep could mean weakening the whole blade. But thankfully, I got it ground out with no problems at all. So the blade has been ground out for the most part. Now I'm gonna make a guard for this. So to make a guard, I need a certain tool to be able to punch a hole through the guard. I was thinking about how I could do that, and then I just saw this train spike lying around. It's literally the perfect size for it. So I'm just gonna harden the tip of this thing, and then I'm gonna use this as a little punch for the guard. All right, so I'm gonna try to take this chunk of metal that came off of the sword, and I'm gonna turn it into the guard. This might be surprising, but forging out the guard was the most difficult part of the project. I couldn't hold on to it with my tongs, and it kept bouncing out of it. Alright, I'm gonna put that hole in the middle of the guard. I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm kind of scared that I'm gonna like burn my hand up or something. The only way I could use the punch was by holding it with a gloved hand. And even with the glove on, I was scared it was gonna burn my flesh because that piece of metal is like 2,000 degrees, and even with the glove, it could burn right through it. So this guard right here is really starting to annoy me. It did not forge well on because I really don't know what I'm doing. So it's all rattly still. I'm just gonna try to forge weld the guard on just one more time. It needs to be like almost white, and it's getting there. I thought I knew how to forge weld because I saw like one YouTube short on it, but I didn't, and I messed it up yet again. But it actually did work for a little bit, and then I made the mistake of quenching it for some reason, and I think that shrank the metal, and then it started rattling again. I think it actually worked this time. Yeah, no, it didn't. No rattlings. It's good. Ooh, this is looking good. I think what I'm gonna try to do is make a little fancy curve thing.
I had thought about actually putting a pommel on and screwing it on somehow, but after the trouble I had with the guard, I really didn't want to do anything else. I didn't know what I was doing while I was hammering it out, but I think it turned out pretty good.
So it's quenching time, and the only tank big enough to quench the sword is this wheelbarrow right here. And because I'm not going to pour 30 gallons of canola oil into this thing, I'm going to use water to quench it. Oh! Alright, let's quench this thing.
When I was putting the sword in, I burned my arm hairs, so now I guess I'm a true blacksmith. Because I have a really small forge, it was really difficult to heat it evenly all the way through, so I ended up having an uneven heat treat. Yeah, I really need to upgrade my tools for next time because even the wheelbarrow wasn't big enough.
It bent up a little bit, kind of like a katana, but that kind of looks cool.
After quenching, probably the most tedious part of the whole project had to be done. I had to grind, and I had to sand. But doing all that stuff really is worth it, because if I didn't do it, it really wouldn't look that good at all. Even after only using the angle grinder, it was already starting to look pretty good, but there was still work that needed to be done. After angle grinding, I tried sharpening it on the weakest belt grinder on planet Earth. It hardly moves any material, and it doesn't really put an edge on it. Then after that, it was on to sanding, the most tedious and boring part of the project. That's why I only gave a couple shots to you guys.
And I got some dust in my hands. That's fun.
For the handle, I got a little bit lazy because I didn't want to put any more work into the sword than I had to. I was just going to wrap it with some leather and call it done. I didn't think just wrapping it would work, so I put some epoxy on the handle so that it would stick better. This part was actually pretty fun, but it took a couple tries to get it right. I think I made the right decision for the leather because it looks really good.
So after countless hours of forging, this sword is finally completed, and now I can test it out. I am a little bit scared to test it on anything that's actually hard because it does have a pretty good sized crack in the edge.